Is everybody ready? Because I want everybody to imagine that we're in some sort of an exhibition, some show, all right? You know what it's like. You've been to shows, lots of stands around, people selling stuff. One of the things this is really useful for is briefing people who are on stands to actually ask questions to the people who walk up to them, rather than standing there and say, come and talk to me if you want to. Would you be interested in buying a hyperactive computer processor? You engage them. So what brought you to the show? Oh, that's very interesting. What does your company do? Suddenly you're engaged with something. You can very, very quickly engage and find out what their tasks are. And then you can say, what are the magic words? Well, that's great. That's exactly what we do. It's probably not a good time to talk about now. Why don't you come around the back and have a gin and tonic and I'll show you what we do. That's why this stuff is so damn useful. So unfortunately, Catherine didn't do my training. So she's a very sharp, very switched on salesperson, but had very traditional sales training, so she sprays and prays. So well, you'll see what I do in a moment. So, hello, my name's Trevor Wilkins, nice to meet you. Can you tell me about your company?
Sure.
Lovely setup you've got here.
Thank you very much. Our airline booking software is web-based and run as a service over the internet.
A little bit more loudly because I'm a bit deaf and they can hear you.
I'm sorry.
But I guess you all heard that. Well, so what?
That means that the software is run by us at our central server location.
So what?
That means that we have the responsibility for maintaining it, not you.
Oh, interesting. So what?
Our running costs are substantially lower through economies of scale.
Costs. So what?
We pass those cost reductions on to you.
Ah, now that sounds interesting. Sounds like an expense. So what other benefits are there from a central server like you just described?
Well, we run a water-cooled multi-processor distributed computing grid with a dynamic application management.
Ooh. So what?
It means that the software runs really, really, really fast.
Ooh, I wonder if that's a T. So what?
Well, what used to take hours can be done in seconds and with far more accurate calculations.
So what?
You save time waiting for results and win more business because your deal is cheaper and faster.
So it's cheaper and I've got less chance of losing business. That sounds good. So what could you do to help my team to give online travel quotations rather than sending them in the post like they do now?
Well, our system briefly switches all of the processors on the network to an agent as they ask for a quote.
So what?
Well, in less than a second, it checks every routing option and gives you the best price in the market, making the client happy enough to buy from you again and profitable to you.
Ooh, so it sounds to me like we've got an income here and I'd get much less stress because my company would be doing well. So what are we waiting for? That sounds good to me. It seems to pass the Charles check very well. Let's arrange for your techies to talk to my techies. Big hand for Catherine. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put we're going to do this in a couple of stages. I'm going to put some statements up on the board. One statement at a time. I want you to work in pairs, but not in somebody who's in the same company as yourself, because you're going to have to go into your own company pairs a little bit later on, about half an hour. I want you to start working with somebody that you've not worked with before, and I want one of you to be the salesperson, and the other one to be the cynical buyer. And the salesperson makes that bold statement. Blah. I'll put them up on the board for you. And the cynical buyer says, so what? And I do not want you, until I tell you to say anything else other than so what. I want you to understand the power of the so what. Now the third step is the tough one. The salesperson has to answer that so what. And that's why I want everybody to have one of the tires blocks. Take one of these, just spread them around, make sure everybody's got them. They are to take away, they're all paid for. Big ones are mine. If anybody wants a big one to play with, you can. Because that's what these tires blocks are for, and you need to have a tires block in your head, because as a salesperson, you've got to answer the so what question in a way that will lead you slowly and gently to a time, income, risk, expense, or state benefit. Okay? So what comes up on the board will not be particularly time, income, risk, expense, or state. Question?
The salesperson is not allowed to ask questions about...
No, they're rubbish salespeople. They're like Catherine. They're the traditional salespeople. She just said, our web-based, blah, blah, blah. And seriously, you'll find by the end of today, and certainly by the end of tomorrow, when you're buying something off a rubbish salesperson, you can turn this whole thing around. Because rather than the salesperson asking you questions, it works the other way. And Catherine and I will end up with a sketch at 12 o'clock to show you how it can be done the other way around. So this works in both directions. And I've actually trained government buyers who have salespeople who come in to buy from them. I've trained government buyers to ask the same questions that you're doing now internally. So this technique, this so what technique, is internal only. Today is about pre-analysis and the safety of your office with your partners and your peers. If I have a very good relationship with a customer, I might use so what, but you've got to be pretty ballsy to do that, all right? So this is an analysis technique. This is not to do with how you engage with people. That's for tomorrow. Everybody happy? Cool. So grab yourself some pairs, sit opposite each other. I want some eye contact here, and I want the salesperson to hold the thing in their hand. That's what I'm trying to get to.